The Battle of Nicopolis, 1396. The day chivalry died. By the end of this morning, thousands of captured crusaders will be executed. Not in battle, on their knees. You are one of them. Your wrists are bound behind your back. The rope bites into skin torn open the day before. Ahead of you, a line of men stretches across the dirt. Knights, squires, archers, stripped of armor, stripped of rank, stripped of illusions. At the top of the hill sits Sultan Bayezid. He does not shout. He does not rage. He watches. An executioner steps forward. The blade rises, falls. The sound is dull, efficient. Then another. This is not ransom. This is a message, and you are still in the line. Months earlier, in France, this did not feel like defeat. It felt like glory dressed as faith. You were not summoned for defense. You were summoned for glory. France in the 1390s was powerful, wealthy, and politically unstable. King Charles VI suffered from episodes of violent madness. He attacked his own guards. At times, he believed he was made of glass. Real power rested with powerful dukes, especially Philip the Bold of Burgundy. A crusade was not just holy war, it was politics exported. So the call went out. Europe would march east to crush the Ottomans. The Ottoman Empire, under Bayezid I, known as Yildirim the Thunderbolt, had been expanding relentlessly across the Balkans. Hungary stood exposed. King Sigismund of Luxembourg pleaded for disciplined reinforcements. What he received instead was spectacle. You marched east in silk and polished steel. 300 wagons carried wine. Knights brought falconers, chefs, dogs with jeweled collars, even courtesans. It felt less like war, more like a tournament on wheels. You believed heavy cavalry could shatter anything. You believed nobility itself was armor. You were wrong. You did not feel like an invader. You felt like a champion. When the army left Dijon and Paris, banners snapped in the wind. Crowds lined the roads. Women threw flowers. Priests blessed armor. Wine flowed before the first mile was walked. You marched not in silence, but in spectacle. Velvet surcoats shimmered in green and crimson. Armor was engraved with saints, lions, fleur-de-lis. Some knights wore gilded plate so bright it hurt to look at under sunlight. You believed you were history moving east. You did not realize you were theater. The baggage train stretched for miles. 300 wagons carried wine alone. Falconers rode beside cavalry. Dogs trotted through camp. Courtesans accompanied certain lords. This was not penitence. It was performance, and war punishes performance. As you crossed into the Balkans, the land changed. Rolling hills, thicker forests, smaller villages. Technically, you marched through Allied Christian territory under Sigismund's influence. But to many French knights, Orthodox Christians were barely better than Muslims. Arrogance hardened, discipline softened. At night, fires burned long past curfew. Drunken laughter echoed across valleys. Hunting dogs were unleashed on livestock. Barns were emptied, grain taken without payment. Sigismund rode between camps, furious. "These are our allies," he insisted. But to the young nobles, alliance meant hierarchy. Hierarchy meant obedience. The peasants were not equals. They were spoils. Something shifted, not in armor, in morality. The army stopped behaving like a disciplined force. It became a swarm. Rahova was small, a fortress town on the Danube. An Ottoman garrison held it. The assault was immediate, eager. The younger knights wanted blood. You climbed ladders beside men who had laughed over wine the night before. The fighting was brutal, but brief. The Ottoman governor negotiated. Safe passage, protection for civilians, Oaths were exchanged, the gates opened, and something broke. Once inside, someone struck first, then another. A surrendering soldier was cut down, then panic, then frenzy. The garrison was slaughtered, not in battle, in surrender. Then the town, screams, looting, fire. Some commanders tried to restore order, but intoxication had replaced discipline. Rahova became a warning, but not to you, to Bayezid. Word traveled faster than armies. Survivors fled south. The story that reached the Ottoman camp was not of chivalric knights. It was of oathbreakers, massacre, treachery. In medieval warfare, mercy was transactional. When news of Rahova reached Bayezid, it arrived as testimony. A surrendered garrison butchered after sworn terms. Mercy had been currency. Rahova destroyed the exchange rate. Bayezid did not rage. He absorbed it. If surrender would not be honored, surrender would not protect. Nicopolis would not be a tournament. It would be a lesson. While the French polished gold leaf on their armor, Bayezid moved. He had been besieging Constantinople. He pivoted west, forced marches, terrifying speed. His army was structured, centralized, disciplined. Sipahi heavy cavalry, Akinci raiders, janissaries, professional infantry raised for obedience. When he learned of the Crusader host, he did not panic. He marched. Inside Sigismund's tent, pride suffocated reason. Sigismund described Bayezid's methods calmly. Weak troops first, stakes behind, discipline behind that, cavalry in reserve. He had fought them before, but to the French nobles, caution sounded like fear. If we let Hungarians strike first, we concede glory. Glory, not strategy. The word coward was spoken. Reputation outweighed survival. The decision was made. On September 24th, you dined well. Rumors claimed Bayezid was retreating. Then a scout arrived. The Ottoman army was hours away. Across the hills, thousands of fires ignited. The horizon glowed orange. Dawn, September 25th. You mounted. 6,000 to 10,000 heavy cavalry formed the first line. You charged downhill. And for a moment, you were unstoppable. You smashed into Akinci raiders. They shattered. You screamed in triumph. But they were meant to break. You rode forward, into stakes. The impact was abrupt. Your horse screamed. You fell. The charge collapsed into chaos. Then arrows came, in waves. Janissaries fired with discipline. Horses collapsed. Men pinned. Heat built inside armor. Breath shortened. Vision narrowed. You were not fighting men. You were fighting biology. Heavy armor became a prison. You hacked through stakes, climbed the hill, exhausted. You reached the crest. Empty ground ahead. Relief. Then vibration. A hum. A rolling thunder. Sipahis, rows upon rows, fresh, untouched. They descended methodically. Envelopment. You had climbed into a trap. Hungarian support too far behind. No cavalry left to shield you. Collapse followed. You were dragged down. Helmet ripped away. Wrists tied. The Golden Army shattered. The executions were not chaotic. Groups of 10, forced to kneel. The sword fell in rhythm. Executioners rotated when arms tired. Bayezid watched, not cheering, measuring. It was demonstration. Nobles were spared for ransom. Others were not. Too many died. Too many slaves wasted. The killing slowed, then stopped. Survival became profitable. By nightfall, the field was silent. Europe would mourn. The crusading ideal fractured. Nicopolis confirmed Ottoman dominance in the Balkans. Feudal glory had met professional warfare. Honor had met logistics. Courage had met design. You survive. Not because you were brave, not because God favored you. You survive because you were not important enough to execute. The line moved. The sword stopped before it reached you. The age of chivalry did not end in poetry. It ended in mud, and in the rhythmic sound of steel striking bone on the banks of the Danube. Battlefield statistics. Nicopolis, 1396. The Crusader coalition, numbering between 15 and 25,000 men, charged with confidence and lost more than 10,000 killed, with thousands more captured and executed. The Ottoman army, under Sultan Bayezid I, fielded roughly 12 to 20,000 troops and lost an estimated 3 to 5,000. The result was decisive, a crushing Ottoman victory. At Nicopolis, heavy cavalry shock met disciplined, layered defense, and the age of chivalric supremacy began to fade. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the like button. Your support helps Smokescreen Battles create even better videos. Stay tuned for our next episodes released weekly. Comment below on which battle or moment in history you want to see next.